Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello and welcome to After the Show. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
What's that? That's very saucy. Hello.
Saucy.
Hello.
I'm saying hello to everybody. Hello.
I got
it. Welcome. Sid Talk, what's the before the after the show discussion?
Before the after the show discussion was, oh God, now I'm becoming one of those people who repeats what the question is. I hate that.
Well, stop doing it then.
Stop doing it? Okay. Before the after the discussion was you telling me about naked Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Making tea.
That's my specialist subject.
I had some toast. You did some audio something, told me about something. And then
clearly you weren't paying attention.
Yes, it was a video editor comes with Microsoft Office.
That was it, yes.
I know.
All right, it's Saturday, August the 19th. This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast, and every week we look at a new movie. And on episode 801, we're looking at the movie No Hard Feelings. It's a 2023 release. It's out now on streaming, coming to Blu-ray very soon. Rated R. And it's from our friends at Sony and Columbia Pictures, who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie, No Hard Feelings?
I kind of lost everything after you said the name, because then I'm like, I got hurt feelings. Flight of the Conchords. Was that Flight of the Conchords, or was it from?
No, it was from Flight of
Dirk
the Conchords.
Diggler guy. Dirk. What was his name? From one of your favorite movies.
You mean Anchorman?
No.
You mean
from Boogie Nights?
No, it wasn't from Boogie Nights. It was from Flight of the Conchords.
Got
season
it.
2.
I got her feeling. So, synopsis is a woman who is a bit wild and wrapped up in herself takes a job to get a car for befriending/girlfriending a 19-year-old young man.
Yes.
I mean, that's a super boring synopsis. But I did already mention like nakedness in the movie, so maybe that'll...
I'll give you the one off the box. It says, on the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for somebody to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying.
Okay, mine was better, and it was awful.
What's helicopter parents?
Helicopter parents, they hover over you constantly.
Oh, I've never heard that expression.
Oh, my God. You're very behind the times. That's been a thing for several years now.
I am living under a rock.
You are.
All right, Sid Talk, no hard feelings. Did you have any hard feelings?
I liked it. It was funny. I laughed a lot. I saw a whole new side to Jennifer Lawrence that I totally appreciate and would like to see more of. In fact, there were times when I'm like, she's very comedic. We could have a new Lucy on our hands. She's very physical.
She's
funny.
Definitely physical, isn't she?
Well, I mean, physical as in she's... Okay, so she's a 30-something-year-old woman pretending to kind of try to sort of be a 23-ish, 24, 20-something. Trying to use very old-fashioned notions of how to get this young man... Well, get him horny. Let's just say it. Like, get him excited so that he wants to have sex with her. So the idea of the parents is to, like, expand his horizons and wake him up. It's almost like this guy, Ferris Bueller... was in a movie where his dad took him to... Dad? Or was he in the army? I can't remember now. To like a prostitute house.
What movie are we talking about?
I can't remember. To like, grow him up real quick. That's
it sounds
the same,
familiar, that.
It's the same old idea. It was a Biloxi Blues, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But same old idea that the parents want the son to like man up a little bit, which is very old fashioned. And then we're throwing in this young woman. I mean, she's younger than me, so she's a young woman who's kind of lived in this beach town her whole entire life, never left. She's got her own issues, and she's going to lose her house because the taxes are due or something. So she needs to make...
That old trope.
It is, but the old trope was, get the money to save the house, but she needs to get a car to do Uber to make the money to save the house. So see, we've added a little twist in there.
A modern twist.
Yeah, so saving the... fill in the blank is a big, the Goonies have done it to save a whole town. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing. So this old-fashioned idea that if she flirts with him and gets him turned on and acts kind of wild, that's what he's going to respond to. And that will mean he becomes a man. And he's just not interested. He's just not interested in this.
No.
And I love when she went to the party and she the teenagers are having a party at this house. She slams in all the doors looking for him. And there's teenagers sitting on beds doing things like everyone's on their phone on one of the beds. They've got a virtual reality headset. One of them, they're just sitting there like just sitting there talking. And she's like, doesn't anybody screw anymore? Like, she's like, that's what she's expecting. And she's busting open all these doors. So I feel like we're crashing into this old fashioned ideas. I mean, you and I grew up with all those movies, clearly, and ideas. And I really love that you can take both of those things, because there were some young people at the parties who were screwing and, flirting and all that, but also combined with people who are like, whatever. That's like so boring.
I like the drug use was actually a Tylenol or something.
Yes.
Like,
ibuprofen.
She thinks he's overdosed, but he's just took ibuprofen with some drink.
Yeah, he's been drinking alcohol, vermouth, and then he took an ibuprofen and he thought he was overdosing, because we're portraying him as this sort of like cushioned, bubble wrapped, helicoptered, precious. Everything scares him. Everything worries him. But in fact, he does know how to handle the world and people, because he just has his own way. Right. And his parents don't see it, because even the dad, Ferris Bueller, says he doesn't do any of the things I did. And what he's talking about is screwing girls, getting drunk, getting in trouble. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ferris Bueller wasn't really a troublemaker, was he? But
no, but he did the screwing the girl and...
I don't know if he was screwing the girl.
Bunking off school.
It was his girlfriend. We didn't have any screwing in that movie.
Did we not? I'm thinking of Risky Business, probably.
That is not Ferris Bueller. That's Tom Cruise.
It's the same thing.
It is not the same thing. Do not get me started on 80s movies if you want to win any argument.
So this movie's kind of like a John Hughes movie, but for the new... It's got that kind of vibe. When it started, I was like, yeah, this is just like a John Hughes movie.
Oh, I disagree completely, but hey, there you go.
Why?
It's not got any of that vibe whatsoever. It's just...
It has.
It's actually the opposite.
The young people overcoming an obstacle or losing their virginity.
Right, but he's not. This is the point. He doesn't have to. It's not a necessity.
Yeah, I understand what happened in the movie, but what I'm saying is...
Right, but it's the opposite of a John Hughes movie.
Yeah, they've twisted it. I've not got to that.
So therefore it's not like a John Hughes movie at all?
No, I think it is, and I think it feels old-fashioned in a way. Because you don't get this kind of sex comedy anymore, do you? I can't remember the last one I saw.
I'd have to think about all the movies I've seen.
The director of this made the movie Good Boys, which is a sex comedy in a way with children.
What?
That sounds really awkward, doesn't it?
That sounds awful. Explain, so people don't think that's
saw
weird.
That movie, right?
I don't know if everyone did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, it's a movie that's another twist on like a movie, because the stars of it are kids, yet...
What sex are you talking about?
It was about losing virginity, remember?
No.
Well,
I really don't remember that.
You mustn't have paid attention to that movie, because that's what it was all about.
It wasn't all about that, or I would remember that. It was about friends going their separate ways.
But wasn't the losing the virginity plot in there with the condoms and everything?
The one boy and the one thing, but it wasn't about that. But hey, you could watch it again, then you'll see.
So
it was not a movie about children. Maybe the
director of this likes doing that, taking like a older idea and making it more up to date, or doing something with it that is shocking, for instance.
I think all Good Boys was a boy who had a crush on a girl, but she didn't like him. There was nothing about losing.
I just remember condoms, maybe a dildo, the kid holding a dildo, and
that's because they found something in their mom's bedroom.
It was very weird.
Yeah, so no, I think you need to rewatch.
So, but back onto this movie, it did feel to me like a John Hughes movie because of it's just basic premise, and it's really like spelled out to you. Is the thing that's going to happen, and then the thing that I didn't like about this movie really is like at about the 45-minute mark, the humor just goes away. And John Hughes also did that kind of thing. But this movie in particular, the humor went away. Did you not notice?
No, I felt like it just all flowed. Like what was happening made sense. It wasn't like an abrupt, like, oh, we went from comedy to serious or anything. It was just sort of like human stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, it was like very wild at the beginning, and then it wasn't for the rest of the movie. And that was just one of the things I didn't like about this movie. But I did like the comedy. I thought it was pretty funny. Not always.
Yeah, all of it.
But funny. Some of the actual dialogue between people is actually quite funny.
Oh, I laughed a lot. Yes. So I appreciated that.
And yes, there is a nude scene in this, which I guess some people would call it shocking because somebody like Jennifer Lawrence is doing a big nude scene that's it's not a sexy nude scene.
Nope.
It's like
it's like almost the furthest.
the furthest away from. It's like it involves some violence and it's just out of left field. I didn't expect it.
It's like wacky. They go in the water on the beach and naked at night, and these dickheads steal their clothes. And so she comes running out of the water naked, basically takes them down and gets her clothes back. I mean, it's
just
pretty
fights them all.
straightforward. Yeah, but she's naked.
Well, like they're not hiding the fact that she's naked. She's just naked. And that's pretty much the only naked scene in a movie that is about getting this dude to lose his virginity. There isn't really sex scenes, right? It's just
I didn't feel like it was just about him losing his virginity specifically, but just like the whole thing.
That's what they say.
Lose his inhibitions, you know?
He's not really got inhibitions. He's just who he is, right?
Exactly.
And that's the point of the movie, I think. You don't have to be what your dad was.
Correct.
And that's really how it all
The
comes
only thing
together.
I didn't like about this movie was that weird nanny situation. What was that?
Yeah, I don't understand.
That didn't make any sense. Okay, so he says he had this nanny, was really close to the nanny. They're very rich. We forgot to tell this part. This family of this young man is very rich, like super rich, and she's running out of money to even be able to pay for the taxes on her house, right? So then he says to her, "Oh, this is my nanny. We're going to meet at the lighthouse." And then it's a dude, and the dude talks to this 19-year-old man, because we've decided 18 is a grown-up, right? Like he's 5. Oh, you got a Frisbee. Oh, that's great.
Like he's still the nanny, like he's living from 18 years ago.
Yeah, and the nanny also threatens her, like, do you want his money? Because the parents have the money, not him. You know, he's real weird.
It didn't come to anything either, though.
Nothing. No. He came to her house to threaten her, and then she shut the door in his face. And it was like, why did we introduce that except to maybe reinforce why
he was so sheltered, maybe?
Yeah, kind of delicate about some things. But I mean, his perception of the world is fine. It's just he's kind of afraid of things. But that kind of explained it. But it was very brief, and it didn't make sense. And the guy was not great. He was my least favorite thing of the whole movie. No offense to the dude, but hey.
There was the jumping on the car when he was naked as well.
Yes. Oh, that's right. He was.
Not that you saw anything with him, because he was like laying on a car. It's got some bizarre... You know, it's pretty down to earth in one respect, but then it's got some crazy shit, like the bit at the end where she's on fire, for instance. Where you're like, okay, this doesn't seem like something that would happen to anybody, but hey, I'll just go with it. It's a comedy. But like a lot of the beginning of it's trying to be like a realistic situation. Do people do that? Do parents do that?
I don't know. We watch a lot of fiction. I'm just going to say
in real life, do you think that ever happens? Parents
hiring someone to... Well, she's not a prostitute.
I know she isn't, but I'm just saying, like, to make it more realistic.
I don't know. I mean, everybody does something. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Probably somewhere in the world. If anybody listening, as a parent, has either hired a prostitute for one of your children or has had a prostitute hired for you by your parents, let us know. We would be fascinated.
It's a pretty good comedy. That's all I can say, really. It's
the end.
It's old-fashioned-ish. It feels like something from, like, American Pie days.
I disagree. I don't even know this vibe.
Because American Pie is not that, even though it claims to be really racy, it's not really when you watch it.
I just disagree. I don't get
and
that
this
vibe
is
at
the
all.
same. Like, it claims to be racy on the poster and everything, but really it's a bit of nudity, right? There's not much else.
I mean, there's a lot of swearing.
Yeah, swearing. If you're offended by swearing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what film doesn't have swearing that's
A lot of them.
R-rated?
Well, lots of films aren't R-rated.
No. Decent comedy. Nothing special, I didn't think.
I don't know. I feel like Jennifer Lawrence was the special thing here because she was really funny.
They're trying to sell that up on the trailer as well, like Academy Award winning Jennifer Lawrence. And then the next scene is like her butt from behind naked.
Right.
Like they're just playing on that, like that it's funny that she would I read an interview with her because you thought that it might have been a body double, right?
Yep. Well, facial replacement.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And she said that she didn't want to do any of that. She just thought when she read the script that it would be hilarious for her to be naked. And
Right on.
she just went for it, and everybody told her not to. And she went, no, that's the funny thing. Like, you're going to all tell me not to. If I do it, it's going to be funny, right? I don't think that's what's funny about this movie, though.
Agree.
We'll talk about that scene, but it's actually there's some heart-touching stuff, like when he plays the piano in the restaurant.
Yep.
It actually is touching. Because, it's about like, oh, what is this kid? He's actually a kid. He knows stuff. He can do stuff. He's not stupid. And these people are treating him like
a precious doll.
That needs to, well, at least they're not fully wrapping him in cotton wool, though, are they? The parents, because they
have until now, and now they want to expand his horizons for him.
Exactly, in all the wrong ways.
And their perception is, well, he plays video games all day and he never leaves his room and he doesn't have any friends. Well, we find out that he had trauma by some bullies at another school, and the rich parents moved because it was really horrible. And then he says, I just was afraid of everyone because it got so awful. And I think still, even people my age, I'm going to say, I'm 55, 56 almost, I'm getting old, might have the perception that someone who plays video games and stays on the computer all day, that there's something disconnected about them. But in fact, you are connected to the whole world. You could literally make the best friends of your life, which you have over the years on the internet, make a whole life of that, and being in the same room doesn't mean anything. Whereas these parents' perception is he's got nobody, he doesn't do anything, right? But he has a whole life.
Right.
He just happens to live it through digital. I think it's not overtly shoved in your face, but that was the vibe I got.
Okay, so moving on to the cast. Jennifer Lawrence plays Maddie Barker. What did you think of Jennifer Lawrence? Probably what makes this movie great, right?
Like I said, she's my favorite thing.
Andrew Barth Feldman plays Percy Becker. What did you think of him?
He was funny. I mean,
he's not been in anything before, by the way. He's a brand new actor. In fact, he's about to go to university himself and not be an actor. That's part of the trivia of this movie. So you liked him?
Yeah, that was really good reactions to her kind of wildness, appropriately, because we have a nephew who's 26 and is pretty low key, and you can say things to him, and he's of the younger generation again. So if I say anything that's kind of of my my understanding of the world, he just looks at me and they'll go, okay, wow. And this guy did that because he's of that age. And so I think he did a good job.
Matthew Broderick plays Laird Becker. They tried to make a joke out of that name, didn't they? But
Laird,
yeah. What did she say?
Layered like a lasagna.
Layered, yeah. So what do you think of Matthew? Ferris Bueller himself.
It was sort of inconsequential that it was Ferris Bueller,
I think they thought that it was really smart that they got him.
They bring up, they get some imagery from 80s movies, for sure, a little bit here and there, but, he was fine.
Yeah.
But that part could have been anyone.
And I put Laura Benanti as Alison Becker. That's his wife.
I liked her because I was convinced that she was a helicopter mom.
Funny, I've never ever heard that. Helicopter parents until today. I have been educated by this movie.
Mm.
Directed by Gene Stupinski, who directed Good Boys. What did you think of this directing? It's pretty straightforward.
Very straightforward. There aren't any camera trickies of any kind. There's a little bit of shaky cam occasionally when it's an emotional thing, and some of it looks beautiful, some of it looks very just utilitarian, and I think getting the performances out of the people would have been this director's skill for sure.
Yeah. So let's look at the IMDb reviews. These are people who didn't like No Hard Feelings and gave it a 1 out of 10.
No hard feelings.
Do you think there are many 1 out of 10s?
Probably.
There are quite a few. 17. So the first guy says, perverted and wrong.
Of course.
Just imagine if the gender roles were reversed, a 32-year-old trying to force a 19-year-old into acts like that. This would be disgusting. But this way, apparently it's fine. It's not even good acting either. Below average. Wouldn't recommend. Second one says, Jennifer Lawrence is my absolute favourite, but this movie is such a letdown. My daughter and I went to this movie. She's just graduated from high school. At one point she said, Mom, if I was really shy, would you pay a 32-year-old man to have sex with me to prepare for college? I looked at her like she was nuts and told her, that's disgusting. She agreed, and her point was very clear. And the third person says, disgusting example of grooming. This movie's disappointing, and I didn't laugh once. The film focuses on the theme of kids need to learn how to drink and have sex before going to college, or they are a loser nerd freak. It makes sex seem cheap and impersonal. They have condoms at one point, but don't use them in a bedroom scene. Wrong.
See, they're missing the point, because the point of the movie is that he doesn't need to drink or have sex or do any of these things to be who he is and to grow up. That's the whole point.
Yes.
That she and the parents are wrong. That's the whole heart of it, is that they're banging up against a brick wall that no longer exists in the world. And this young man is like,
Yeah.
you all aren't correct. So that person just got offended very easily.
That person didn't really pay attention. All right, extras. There are none because we watched the streaming version. Let's give this movie a score. I'm going to give No Hard Feelings 6 out of 10.
I'll give it a 7.5.
All right. You liked it a bit more than me.
Mm-hmm.
I had a few laughs. I also, like I say, I felt the laughs went away towards the end because they were trying to get all kind of messagey, weren't they, towards the end.
Well, did you think Toy Story 3 wasn't fun at the end because it was sad? No.
It still had a few laughs.
You're being very judgmental.
The conveyor belt thing, all that.
What, are you reviewing this movie?
Yeah. Thank you to Sony. Next week, we're going to look at the new DC movie, The Flash. So, movie recommendations. I am going on the theme of this movie. One of my favorite these kind of movies is The Girl Next Door. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
With Timothy Olyphant. I thought that one was kind of almost like a rip-off of Risky Business, wasn't it?
Kind of, yes.
Even had the same kind of music and all that kind of stuff. And my other one was Risky Business. That's between Ferris Bueller and Risky Business. They're my two favorite 80s comedy.
I think that you approach the 80s movies very superficially, whereas someone like me, who probably watched them hundreds of times
I definitely
in my
did.
youth.
Yeah.
All of them from a different... But you didn't watch them when you were young, you said. You watched them when you were older.
When I was a teenager.
But older.
Like 11 and 12, maybe.
No, you were not that old. You weren't that old when these movies came out.
No, I didn't watch them when they came out. I watched them on video.
Right, so you weren't 11 or 12.
Is that not right?
No.
When did they come out? In the 80s, right?
Yeah, the mid-80s.
Well, that was mid-80s. I was like... No, mid-80s, I would have been about 14, 15.
You were 16 in 1985.
Right.
And a lot of these came out 85, 86, 87. So.
Right, so that must be when I watched them.
And then you watched them later when they were on VHS. So you were even a bit
I definitely didn't go to the cinema to see any of those.
Right. And I don't think you have the same perspective on them. But hey, that's fine. It's your perspective.
I still like them.
You like them, but you say that with, I like them. Whereas someone like me who just basically wallowed into their world every time they showed up on HBO, and I would just get lost in inappropriate maybe on many of them if I watch them back now. But I mean, as soon as 16 Candles starts up and they're forgetting her birthday, it was like the world disappeared and that was my world, so I have a very different perspective.
Not Risky Business. I definitely watched Ferris Bueller hundreds of times. Like, it was like worn out video cassette that we bought,
Right.
That was one that I watched a lot. But I didn't see, Breakfast Club until I was 40.
See? You don't have the same, that youthful attachment.
Yeah.
For my recommendations, I'm going back through the whole of this 21st century and doing science fiction. Since the year 2000, I'm up to the year 2017, and the first one is The Defenders. Do you remember that? I don't remember that.
I don't even know what that is.
I know I've seen it because it's on my list.
Is it that TV show with Iron Fist and all them?
Oh, was it?
I think that might
you're
have been called
right.
The Defenders, yeah.
Well, that wasn't too bad. Although I liked Iron Fist better.
Yeah.
Just in general. Yes. Oh, yeah. With Nick Cage.
Yeah, they all kind of teamed up.
I like Nick Cage. That's one of my faves. And then we also have The Space Between Us from 2017, which was big stars.
Like
kind of epic.
Oh, that one.
The one where they had to travel over the mountain and they like every single bad thing that could happen. They had a plane crash.
Kate Winslet, Idris Elba.
They fell in the freezing water. Something else bad happened. They got a broken bone or one of them got sick. I can't remember. And they made it over the mountain.
Was it true?
I don't think so. And then my next one is Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
That's Luc Besson.
It was. And, you know, both of us are Fifth Element lovers.
And it had a vibe of that.
Kinda. Sorta.
The way it kind of looked more than anything.
Yeah.
But the actual story wasn't as good.
I think that was it, yeah. And then my next one is A Quiet Place from 2018. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was that long ago.
We've even had a sequel to that.
I love A Quiet Place. That was really good. And then Detroit, Become Human, 2018. Isn't that a game?
That's a video game by Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
The people who made, you know, Heavy Rain, etc.
Yes, so I must have watched it with you.
Yeah, it was the one like with androids in the future.
Yeah.
Like they lived beside us. Yeah, you did watch it, yeah.
And I can recommend that because if you're playing a game that I'm interested in watching that can play out like a movie or a story, I feel like it's equally entertaining. I mean, yes, you have it's a different vibe. Obviously, you're one pushing the buttons, literally, to make things happen, and it doesn't move along quite as quickly. Literally can take 20, 30, 40 hours to get through some of these games. But watching them is, to me, equal entertainment.
Yeah, you like Telltale style games.
And I liked Last of Us a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Scully stuff this week. I have been playing a new game called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is exactly what it says it is. It's based on the 1970s movie by Tobe Hooper, and it's got the full official license. It's not a story-based game. I mean, we all know the story. It's pretty basic, right? Some people...
It's not just... and people haven't heard of it.
Yeah. It's the most
There's
basic
a group
horror movie.
of, like, hippy-dippy people in the 70s going in a van, breaks down. They find this house. The house is occupied by a family of... not cultish, because they're their own thing, but...
They're just a family that...
Of murdering, cannibalistic... crazy people. And crazy people not as in mental health issues, crazy people as in something is very wrong with this family and it's crazy gross, and all I remember is the girl screaming all the time.
Yeah, she screams a lot at the end.
And if you've never heard of this movie, but you've heard of Leatherface and like the guy made a mask out of someone's skin, that's where this came.
And there are many sequels.
Yeah.
In fact, Matthew McConaughey was in one of them, remember?
No.
Yeah, I think it was like The Next Generation. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. Yeah. So this game is not a story-based game because if you've seen the movie, I mean, there's nothing to it.
There's a story. It's a psychopathic family who murders passersby.
But how this game is set up is it's a multiplayer game. One side is 3 people and the other side is 4 people. The 4 people are the victims, as they call it, and the 3 people are the family. So you can be Leatherface, or you can be one of the people who are the victims. The victims have to escape from the house. The family have to stop them escaping. That's how a round goes. It's like a round of Call of Duty, but like your evil, horror movie based. There's no shooting. There's not really many weapons. The family have a chainsaw, clearly. Leatherface does. It's not that easy to use it. Otherwise, a match would be over in 2 seconds. You'd just run around and chainsaw everybody. So you have to rev it up. It takes a little minute to rev up before you can actually use it. I've played as both the family and the victims. The victims have to get out, basically. You're disorientated because you don't understand the layout of the house and it's kind of maze-like. There are things that you have to do to get out of the house, like some of the doors are locked. And if you are the family, you can lock doors to make it harder for them. And so you have to find things to pick lock the door. You've got to get out. You can leave traps and stuff so the family gets slowed down. But as the victims, you can't hurt the family at all. You haven't really got any weapons. You can just stun them for a second and then run away. Whereas the family themselves, they're all like tooled up. One's got a chainsaw. One's got poison that they can throw at you. and another one's got like a little shiv. So it's just a battle of you getting out, and because it's online, you can voice chat with the people in your team. So if you can devise a plan basically to get out or to kill them. There's also another mechanic. If you remember the movie, do you remember Grandad?
Barely.
Well, the cannibalistic family had, who knows, because the movie doesn't really explain anything, but Grandad's at the table and they're feeding him blood and human flesh in the movie, and it's giving him some kind of like energy boost. Like he looks almost dead, but when they feed him some blood, he's like, "Whoa," like kind of coming to life. Well, there's a mechanic in the game where, as the family, if you can get blood from the victims, bring it to Grandpa, feed it to Grandpa. Grandpa gives you this mystic energy that lets you see through walls and see everybody. Immediately, you know where all the victims are and you can just go after them. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's on PS5, Xbox, PC. I tried the PS5 and the PC version. They were both pretty much the same. It's really fun. There's a lot of things to unlock, like you can unlock the different costumes that the people wore in the movie. They probably only wore one costume, all the people in the movie, right?
I would think so.
I doubt they got changed at any point.
I don't think so.
Well, there are different 70s looking costumes for the girls and the dudes, and there are different skins for Leatherface. I guess they've taken from the other movies and stuff. I'm not sure. That's available now. It's on Game Pass as well for free if you are a Game Pass subscriber, so no reason not to try it. Sito, what's for dinner?
Curry made with homegrown tomatoes.
That's not what is advertised on the sheet.
I know. Curry made with homemade tomatoes and peppers.
Yeah.
With some rice. And that is it. I got a lot of tomatoes all of a sudden because they sat there green all summer. I'm sure no one cares about the gardening world, but maybe they do. Yeah, they just sat there because, it's 1,000 degrees outside almost every week. So I had a whole bunch of tomatoes. They all sat there. I put a bunch in the freezer, and today I just picked pounds and pounds, like the table is covered, and so I'm making curry sauce with them and a bunch of peppers. Here's the thing about my gardening. I start out the season really good. I label everything. I have like 30 kinds of tomatoes, kinds as in varieties, and same with peppers, maybe 25. I label them really good, and then the weather just erases them slowly, and so now I don't have any idea other than I can identify like a jalapeno pepper versus a bell pepper, so I put no jalapenos in it. But that is it. I'm in the mood for a nice saucy supper.
And what's your advice?
It's not an advice, it's a question. Why? This is a simple thing, right? A very simple thing that symbolizes a very big thing in life to me. Why am I expected to wear matching earrings?
I didn't realize you were.
Of course you know that I am. Of course you know that. You know that women are expected, the earrings on each side of your head are supposed to be the same.
I don't think so these days.
No, you would be incorrect. So this is why I'm asking the question, because when I don't wear it, I don't match them ever. And I swear every other day, wherever I am, someone says, oh, your earrings don't match. Oh, did you get those together? All the time. And I mean all the time. Now, maybe you don't experience this. You're a little sheltered from the world of people who comment on your fashion, I guess. I don't know. But all the time. And I'm like, if it matters to you what pieces of metal are dangling from my head, what else do you want to control about me? If it's that big a deal that you have to comment in a way that's telling me, oh, it's a bit weird, isn't it, that your earrings don't match? Oh, I've even had people recently go, is that a real tattoo? Oh, it's big. One lady said at work, because I have a tattoo at my top of my forearm of my right arm. It's just a sunflower. It's no big deal. To me, it's art. It's on my body. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's that tone and that like, oh, but that's not exactly precisely how you're supposed to do things, is it?
That people don't like nonconformists.
How many people in the world have tattoos? I mean, seriously.
I mean, it seems like when you look these days that there's more people with them than without.
There is, and still the attitude is, oh, it's just weird. Like, what do you think's going to happen? Complete chaos and anarchy if my earrings don't fucking match? I don't even understand it. It's just weird to me. And it's not that I do it. I've never, even when my mom will tell you, when I first got my earrings my ears pierced by the time I was probably 13. I was already wearing different earrings. That was my first piercing. Then I got them pierced again when I was like 17. And then, of course, I had to wear all 4 different earrings. I wore safety pins in one ear and something in another ear. I wore a keychain hanging from my ear one time at school, just because it's my fucking head. I don't even understand why anyone has any involvement. But that, again, not advice, observation for you to think about.
People like to object to things.
Yeah, and if you wear your earrings matching because that's the way it's supposed to be, maybe consider why someone else made that decision for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Shoehorn yourself in there and be like, wait a minute. I do find it kind of interesting when someone wears 2 different earrings, but I would never do it. Why?
Exactly.
That's it. That's it.
All right, ascully.com is the place you can go for this podcast. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and YouTube are everywhere podcasts are available. We're on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She
Nope.
doesn't want your email.
Nope.
And stay classy. Jennifer Lawrence, very classy in this movie. Or is she?
And I'm going to say think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, definitely someone's doing it for you.